After watching Kalki 2989 AD, one cannot deny the fact that the face and identity of Indian cinema internationally will be shifted, mainly from Bollywood to South Indian cinemas, specifically Telugu movie industry, which will take the lead for all the right reasons. Hello everybody, welcome to Tanu Cine Bites, and today we are reviewing the most expensive movie made from India for a budget of 600 crore rupees. It's none other than the superbly executed science fiction film Kalki 2989 AD. Visionary director and screenwriter Nag Ashwin, along with producers Ashwini Dutt and his daughters Priyanka and Swapna Dutt, take the story from parts of an epic Odyssey Mahabharata and sets the story in a dystopian future in Kashi, India. The movie starts with Amitabh Bachchan as Ashwathama during the Kurukshetra war and the curse that's bestowed upon him to live forever as an immortal until the time comes to fulfill his duties. The story then jumps 6000 years into the future to the year 2989 AD, where humanity is at the brink of destruction. With scarce food, toxic air, limited water, people are struggling to survive. All the cities have fallen except for Kashi, filled with refugees, bounty hunters, thugs, lowlifes, and commoners. Everyone is trying to sustain life under the inverted pyramid called the complex where the rich and powerful live. This scenario reminded me of the capital from Hunger Games. Kashi is ruled by the supreme leader Yaskin, played by Kamal Hassan, who lives high up in the sky in his complex, far away from the rest of the world. Due to the advancement in technology and the inhumane experiments he's conducting on these young women, one of which is M80, played by Deepika Padukone, he has been able to sustain his life longer than most human beings. Now, several stories are running in parallel at the beginning. We have a group of refugees entering the Kashi city, some of which are rebels from Shambhala and come with a mission to find the chosen one. Rajendra Prasad, Pashupati, Shobana, Anna Ben in their supporting roles are good to watch, but Anna Ben as Skyra gets the cake with several good action sequences and nice dialogues. Now at the end of 6000 years, signs and symbols keep popping up to show the coming of a chosen one, and Ashwathama is ready to come out of his long wait to fulfill his duty and protect the one. I genuinely felt this movie wouldn't have been so enthralling if it wasn't for Amitabh Bachchan. He gets one of the most important roles in the film, if not the most important. He is a perfect cast to play the demigod Ashwathama, bringing with him the gravitas and authenticity for the role. The main story is shouldered by the rebel star Prabhas as a bounty hunter named Bhairava, who is trying to somehow make it into the complex. His life is somehow altered drastically when he is on the hunt for the most prized bounty M80 and has to come face to face with Ashwathama. I felt like Prabhas made a comeback with this movie, and no one is going to complain about his acting because he's playing the role of Bhairava as the easy and laid back bounty hunter with so much ease and natural charisma. After Amitabh Bachchan, my favorite part of the movie was Buji, voiced by Kirti Suresh. I saw the movie in Telugu, relying purely on the subtitles, but Buji's voice and banter with Bhairava made her immediately likable and entertaining. Every time Buji became a Baji, I was feeling so sorry for her. I also want to say kudos to the company Mahendra and their owner with their technical engineers who developed Buji. It is so great to see engineering and technology being used to bring entertainment to new heights. This movie draws inspirations from Mahabharata, movies like Star Wars, Hunger Games, Mad Max, Dune, and yet it stands out like an original screenplay rooted in Indian mythology. Now let's talk about the technical aspects of the movie which are noteworthy. The director of photography, George Stolyovich, I hope I didn't butcher his name, and production designer Nitin Zeen Chowdhury created a detailed dystopian world with Indian architectural elements. I really loved the laboratory scenes, those hexagonal pods that were used to keep the women, the lighting and the shots, and the scenes under the caves in Shambhala. They were all so brilliant to see. The art director, Nani Devarpalli, and his team did a very good job with the set design, the art pieces, and the props which were used as weaponaries in the movie. Everything looked realistic and futuristic. Like I said, the construction of that cave in Shambhala and the ruins of the temple where Ashwatthama resided all looked so real, it was really in par with Hollywood movies. The VFX team, which is the backbone of this movie, deserves a high praise for pushing the boundaries of Indian cinema, delivering visuals that can compete with a global stage. I know it's a huge, massive team that collectively worked on this, and I have to say, after Bahubali, this was the next movie I enjoyed with good visuals. The action sequences of director Andreas Neumann were very good, especially between Ashwatthama and Bhairava. Also, the chase sequences in the middle of the movie were very creative as each character was using his unique strengths. For example, Ashwatthama was using his height and brute strength, while Anna Ben as Kyra was using her agility and swiftness. At the same time, Prabhas is using his strength, technology, and his cleverness to his advantage. The only issue I had was the initial fight scenes involving the bounty hunters and Bhairava, which were less impressive due to the visual harnesses and the generic choreography. Disha Patani as Roxy was unnecessary and just a distraction to the main plot, and the song with her felt so boring. I wish the director had thought of another creative way to show us how it looked inside the complex and why Bhairava was so eager to get in there. For movies of this grand level, the background score and music will surely elevate the movie to greater heights when used correctly. Unfortunately, the music by Santosh Narayanan didn't do that. The background music felt very mismatched with the scenes and were abruptly shifting the tones, so it stood out like a sore thumb. If I have to nitpick something, I wish the director had not gone for VFX when showcasing the young Ashwatthama in the Kurukshetra war, because it looked so artificial. Maybe they could have gone with Abhishek Bachchan as a cameo role. Anyway, there were so many other surprising cameos in this movie which was so unexpected, but the cheers and claps just kept getting louder and louder. All the cameos were memorable, and my friends and I were ranking them after the movie ended. In conclusion, Kalki 2989 AD is a must watch, especially for fans of science fiction and dystopian genres and those who are interested in Hindu mythology. Nag Ashwin and his team has set a new milestone in Indian cinema akin to the impact of Bahubali with innovative storytelling and technical prowess. Our Indian culture and mythology offers a wealth of stories that can inspire epic series similar to Game of Thrones and the Marvel movie franchises. And this movie is a prime example of what can be achieved with original context. It's a film that Indian cinema can proudly showcase to the world, so don't forget to call your friends to check out this movie. That's it for today. I hope you liked my review for the movie. Please don't forget to press like, share and subscribe, and let me know in the comments below what you thought about this movie. Until next time, take care. Ciao ciao.